Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Hands on SAP Dev with me again, DJ Q Macro. Really nice to see you. It's absolutely pouring with rain here. Ooh, gosh, my Stroop waffle, my Stormtrooper waffle was almost in the coffee. It had softened up so much. Quite amazing. I made the coffee about 10 minutes ago and it's been sitting on the top there. I took one bite. So, good morning, Leo. Good morning, Johan. Johan, I see you've got your activating your brain too with Stroop waffles and coffee. That's a very important part of the day. So yeah, glad to have you on board. Pierre, good morning. Good morning to you, Pierre. It's fantastic. And yeah, I've got to give you a bit of a warning. I'm feeling really tired today. So Patrick, good morning, Patrick. Yeah, I'm feeling really tired. So you'll have to bear with me. You have to help me out even more. James Hale in the house. Good morning, James. Happy Friday, yes. So I think after this I'm going to have a lie down. But anyway, yeah. How are you all today? I am... I'm thinking... what did I want to show you today? Oh, yes. So I've been playing around with some other scripts. If I just remove, I want to see what happens when I remove this little image, which is to my left or right. I can't work out where it is. Sam Wiley, good morning. So if I remove documents, live stream, episode image, that should disappear. But then I can also, if I move to main, and you can see what I'm doing then. If I say get episode image, what is the episode actually? What is the episode? youtube.com/devs. What's the episode ID? There we go. I need to add something to that so I can do that. So that should now come back. So if I go back there, hopefully it should return. So anyway, yes, I'm still tweaking and tuning my my YouTube setup. I have a little script, LBL for example, which will get the information about the current live stream. So I'm probably going to extend that to get the high resolution image from the video on YouTube and put it into the OBS. So there you go, it's back again. So anyway, no more messing around, DJ. So Pierre, it has been a while. It has been a while. You discussing GitHub Actions made me come back. Oh, that's a good reason to come back. That is a good reason to come back, Pierre. Yeah, did you watch the GitHub Actions replay, or did you? I don't think I saw you on the live stream. You didn't say anything anyway. But did you manage to watch the replay? Let me know. Yeah, more GitHub Actions. There's a growing interest also in various sort of Slack channel based communities inside of SAP. Just been talking to some folks today. It's a super interesting concept, isn't it? Yeah, so let's maybe do some more GitHub Actions in the future. So where are we? By the way, good background, right? I like this opacity 0.85. You can tell I'm tired. I'm just rambling now. Right, so let's get going. Where are we? We are in the getting the most out of the SAP TechEd Developer Keynote repository content, blah, blah, blah. We did last week. We started looking at the brain component, right? Let's get started. Okay, you watched the replay. That's good to know. Good to know, Pierre. Have you got any actions that you've done yourself? It'd be interesting to find out. Have you any workflows? Have you written any actions? Yeah, it'd be good to know. That's a question to everybody, not just to Pierre. Anyway, we looked at the brain last week, and specifically we looked at running the brain at brain level 1. Okay, where we did the we started to run it, and what brain level 1 was doing was just logging the message detail. So we then emitted a message to the message bus, and let's just see if we can do that. Actually, let's just remind ourselves. Let's bring this in here, and where we go. cd cap brain cds run. Ooh, what's going on there? Yeah, of course. I npm install. I've cleaned up some things and I recloned the repo just this morning for no particular reason, other than I had a weird thing with going on with my dev space. So anyway, I deleted the dev space and recreated it. That's the reason. So let's just try that again. No message could. Oh yes, I don't think I've got a okay. Anyway, let's. What do we want to do? What do we want to do? We want to list this thing here. We've got the default env. We don't have a default env.json file. Okay, so let's do one. This is what we did last week. Default env gen, and let's. Oops, CF login. Oh, it's all back to scratch, isn't it? All back to scratch. Let's go here. Let's grab the endpoint, which is quite good. Email.com. Right. Okay. So, what we did last week. Okay, you're focusing on non-SAP stuff at the moment, and we've moved to GitHub a few months ago. Nice. Okay, that's really cool. The thing I'm finding with Actions is that it lends itself to so many different things. So yeah, SAP, non-SAP. As you saw, we used it in the Docker area for building our Docker image to push to Kima. So that's really cool. So let's just get this going again. And remind ourselves, while this is running, remind ourselves of what we did. We want to get to this log the message details, right? We're using the messaging service, or the event mesh service now, of course, it's called. We're using some persistence. We're connecting to this sort of remote API that we saw on the API Business Hub. And we're also connecting to the converter service. Now, at level 1, we're only using messaging. But level 2, which we're going to look at today, we're going to start looking at connecting to and consuming data from this OData service, this remote SAP S4HANA Cloud mock system, right? Which we've already got in our sandbox. We're mocking that with our sandbox. Assumptions, we're using the Business Application Studio, fine. We've got a message bus, yep, okay. We're going to need this S4 sales order destination for brain level 2, okay, which is what we're going to be looking at today. So what we didn't do last week was set up those destinations. We'll set up the S4 sales order destination. And we did create the service instances. In fact, if I go here, CFT, so that's a truncate version of CF, my truncate version, CF services, we've got destination light and we've got XSUA application. Those we created last week. And if we look at the applications, that application is the one that's just been created here, or deleted and recreated to bind those two services. Okay, so we've got this application here, A, those two services, destination light. Well, all three services have been bound now, right? CF app A, does that tell us any information? Not really, but it tells us that it stopped. In fact, we could have a look here, couldn't we? We could have a look here at the applications, go in here, and the A application has hopefully 3 service bindings. Come on, come on, come on. Yes, to those 3 service instances. Okay, that's fine. So now if we, let's try that again for the third, and this is going to be, I think, the theme of the day. We're just like going, what's the way, you're trying to get to a destination and you're bashing it to the side and hitting a door and going back and carrying on again. That's what I think we're going to be doing today. There we go. Okay, so we've got that. And now if I bring up a new terminal, a second one, let's put that sort of there, right? Get rid of the welcome. And if we go to S4 HANA event and run emit of 1, that's what we saw last week. And hopefully, JQ, I've not I've not set up these things here. I've not set up the thing. However, CD using App Studio. Let's have a look. App Studio setup. There we go. The power of scripts. Okay, so let's go and open up that app again. Bring that up there again. It's going to be one of those days, isn't it? S4 HANA events. Emit 1. There we go. Okay. Phew. So that is brain level 1, right? Are we all still there? That is brain level 1 that we saw last week. All that is doing is connecting to the messaging service, listening out for messages on the topic a sales order created, and then just dumping out the message, the details of the message, the payload that was received. Now what we're going to do today is, where is it? If we have a look in the, where is it? Cap, brain, serve. So the cap, so the brain is just a cap service, and we've got this service.js here. So let's get, we don't need this anymore. Service.js, and also we don't need that anymore. Okay, fine. So we had a brief look at this last week, right? Didn't we? And what this is doing is using, in fact, if I can bring up somehow, hold on, where is it? Package.json. Let's bring that and put that there, maybe. There we go. So in our package.json, this is what we saw last week. We've got a section here, CDS, right, requires, and it requires a number of things. And these things were reflected in this sort of list of things here, wasn't it, right? Messaging, DBs, S4 sales orders, and conversion service. So there's the messaging, there's the DB, there's the S4 sales orders, and there's the conversion service. So today we're going to be focusing on this thing, right? So what is that? That is a pointer to the mocked S4 sales orders API that we saw on GitHub. And we connect to that, and when we receive an incoming message saying sales order 1, for example, we go in the service, we go in the code and say, well, you know, if level 0, we don't do anything. This is the brain level, right? So on an incoming message, on the topic incoming is sales order created, right? What we want to do is all this stuff in here, right? We'll have a look at that in a minute. But before we've done that, of course, we need to connect to messaging. Okay, so this is generic way to connect to a remote service, whether that's a messaging service or an OData, you know, API endpoint or whatever, right? So we describe this messaging constant to be the results of calling this sort of asynchronous function. We use the await, async await thing, right? And we say, right, okay, just like we would say, you know, on an incoming OData query or read request or update request to this particular entity, right? We want to do this. It's the same thing. The pattern's the same, right? And I think this is what we talked about in the keynote, isn't it? So what we do is, okay, I'm going to define a constant, which is an array of property names, right? We'll come back to that later. That's a bit boring. And if the brain level is less than 0, then we just don't do anything, okay? But if the brain level is, you know, 1 at least, we log the output, which is the results of what we saw, right? But then, you know, if it's just 1, then we return. So these things I added, you know, after the keynote, right? It's nice and simple. So we're going to set the brain level to 2. And that means that we're going to run this code. So let's have a detailed look at this code here, right? What we do is we grab the data from the message, which is an object or a map, right? Curly braces. And this is this destructuring from you know, ES6 JavaScript, which is, you know, everywhere these days, so it's standard. To say basically inside the data object, there's a property called sales order with a value. I want to grab that value and put it into a constant of the same name, right? And then just log it out. Sales order number is doof, right? Now, then what we want to do is we want to connect to this thing here. And don't worry, we're going to do this sort of manually in a minute as well. Because I think what we should do, rather than try and embrace and feel our way through this in the huge context of the brain itself, I think we should start from scratch on a really, really simple, the simplest thing that could possibly work, cap app, and do it that way. So, and hopefully sort of come across all the errors and fix them as we go through. But look at this, await CDS Connect 2. Exactly this there, await CDS Connect 2. S4 sales orders, exactly the same as await CDS Connect 2 messaging. This value here, S4 sales orders, this value here, messaging, are exactly these values here in the package.json inside the CDS requires. So where does this come from? Okay, we presented this in the developer keynote as a fait accompli. It was just there. So I think it'd be good. Let me know if you agree. I think I'm going to do it anyway, but let me know, because it's always nice to see chat in the chat. If you agree, and we'll do this sort of manually. We'll start a cap project from scratch, really simple one, and do the most basic thing so that we can read the details of sales order 1 from the remote API, the mocked API, because we've got, I think, let's have a look. We've got our Keyma environment, and while that's coming up, we've also got not in the services, in the apps, we've got this proxy app, haven't we? Stopped at the moment, right? In fact, let's start it. And that proxy app is there, right? Ooh, that's interesting. Failed to, what's that? What's that mean? What's happening? Oh, don't know. It's running. So if we go to here and run that, there's our proxy app. Now, can anybody tell me? Well, it's obvious, really. No, I'm not going to ask the question. It's a stupid question. Where is that running? That's running on Cloud Foundry, isn't it? In the Cloud Foundry runtime. But we've also got, from our exploration of the sandbox, we've also got in our Keyma runtime the same thing running, in a pod. There it is. Okay. So what we want to do is consume data from this API, from this OData service. I don't know why, but it just seems a little bit of a disservice just to say, this OData service is an API. Yes, it's an API, but it's just an OData service. Does anybody agree? I'm not sure. APIs are so important, right? Anyway, so we've got that and we're going to consume that. So why don't we start and do, I think in the keynote, we showed this, right? If we go to, it's there actually, isn't it? API Business Hub. If we go to sales order, that's from last time, I think, sales order. Here is our sales order A2X application to, multiple things, OData API, right? Click on that. Your session has expired. Oh, thanks. Thanks. Log on. Here's the sales order header, sales order item, header alert, all this. So this is the sales order entity set effectively, right? The Swagger definition of an OData service is pretty cool, because it's just like, entity set. Anyway, what we want, in order to be able to consume this from a CAP service, we need the API specification. We're going to download it here. Let's do that now. Let's download it. API sales order serve, right? And now, just for the heck of it, why don't we create? Yeah, why not? Let's create a new. Is that big enough? That font big enough? CDS init sales. CD sales. Now, let's have a vote. Shall we do this in VS Code for a change, or shall we do it on in Vim? Let me know. I'll have a biscuit. At the moment, what's been generated? Empty, 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 and also a really, really simple package.json. Okay. So nobody's saying anything in the chat yet. Let me know. Should we do it in VS Code for a change, or should we do it in Vim? in the command line. Anybody? If nobody can decide, I'll decide. No. Leo, Emacs, please leave the room. Okay, Emacs. I suppose VS Code is closer to Emacs than Vim is, so let's use VS Code. Do you want to install recommended extensions for this repository? Show recommendations? ESLint, prettier? Maybe, but no, let's just not bother with that for now. Mock a test. Right, okay, so here we go. So we're in here, and here's our stuff. Now, what we need to do, we've got this API sales order thing, right? In here, we're going to use a terminal anyway, right? Is that big enough? Whoa, that's a bit too big. We've got nothing in here and nothing in here. So why don't we copy? Let's bring the basic schema and the basic service CDS files from our Cap Brain application, because those will do for now as a thing, right? Samuele, you like Vim, but VS Code will be the standard. Will it now? And James says, happy to be terrified by Vim. There's no reason to be terrified by Vim at all. All I'll do, I think, is projects. That's where all my GitHub stuff is. GitHub.com, QMacro, TechEd, Cap, Brain, DB, schema into DB. Right, we'll bring the schema in there, and also we'll bring the service.cds into serve. Okay, so we've got the basic things in here. We've got this charity entry that we've seen before. Is that big enough, by the way? I'll make it one bigger. The charity entry that we've seen before. And we've got the service.cds. So in fact, CDS watch, is that going to do anything? Yeah, you know, sort of does something. Localhost. There we go. Nice. Isn't Cap amazing? I just love that. So easy to put together a OData service. Doesn't really do very much, this one, because my definition is pretty small. But that's not the point, right? Oh, we read in Roadmap, Business Application Studio, locally installed on the developer's personal machine. I think that's always been, you know, in those wonderful people's minds as a potential future thing. So it wouldn't surprise me that it's on the roadmap. Yes, it wouldn't surprise me. But I think, you know, the richness of the different editing environments, you know, and our ability to be able to use these different things, I think that's the most important thing. But yeah, Baz on the Baz locally would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? Yeah, second quarter 2021. I think that's a little bit early, but maybe I'm out of date. I would like to see it though. Yeah. Anyway. So what we've got, let's kill that here. Let's bring in desktop API sales order serve EDMX. Oh, let's bring it into here, right? So we're into the confines of our brand new, completely empty project. What I'm going to do is CDS import that. We saw this in the Keynote, didn't we? In the developer Keynote. What's happened is that it's created an external directory in the serve directory and also converted that EDMX into season, okay? Which is basically the sort of canonical CDS format, right? You know, the transportable, I can't think of the word. Anyway, speaking of VS Code, Pierre says, and Baz, has anyone any experience with GitHub code spaces for Fiori Captive? Oh, that's a really good question, Pierre. I haven't. I've got a little bit of experience with Fiori code spaces, but not much, and it wasn't in the context of Fiori. Yeah, exploring code spaces is also on my to-do list. Definitely. Pierre. So we've got that. So what happens now? What's happened? We've also in here. In fact, why don't I say? Oh well, it's too late now. I was going to get in it this so we could see the changes, but it doesn't really matter. What's happened in here is that what's happened in the import is it's also not only put these files in external here and converted EDMX into season, but also it's put a CDS requires, and it's chosen the name of the file, right, as a static name to identify it. Fine, right? I think we had S4. Yeah, I think in ours we've got, where is it? That is equivalent. Yeah, S4 sales orders. I think I changed the name or something. Anyway, that is just a static name to identify it. What type of thing is it? It's an OData thing. Where is the model defined? There. Now, if we run CDS watch again and go back to the this tab here and refresh it, look, it automatically will serve this definition, right? Which is not what we want, this is really cool, but this is not what we're aiming for. But I just want to show you that it does that as well, right? It gives you, this thing, and it will mock stuff. I think it will mock stuff as well. Will it mock stuff? It will. Oh yeah, no. If we do it with mocks, but anyway, we're not going to go that direction. Okay. So what we need to do now is start thinking about consuming that. Okay. So in our serve, why don't we go over here and have a look at what we need to do? Let's just copy. In fact, we could copy that, couldn't we? Yeah. Okay. So let's do that same thing. So if we copy that thing over here, serve service dot, oh, it's there, right? JS into serve. And we've now got this thing here, but it's got far too much stuff. So let's get rid of everything apart from what we want, right? Async serve, get rid of that. We don't even need messaging, right? So let's do that. I'll do. What's the, oh yeah, there we go, right. There we go. So, do we need another thing? Let's make it a bit smaller again to see all of them online. Oh, I know why, yes, because, let's bring that back here, const, sales order properties, serve, that one is there. Yeah, okay, so that, let's even get rid of the comments, right? We don't want that either. And also we want sales order to equal 1. Ooh, 1 second. I'll just put this across here. Michelle's making some coffee or something, so just close the door. So sales order 1, okay, and we'll get rid of that as well. And okay, fine. So that's what we want to do. The sales order properties, maybe we'll leave those as well for now. And because those are used in here in column sales order properties. So let's get rid of that as well. That's the simplest thing that could possibly work, right? Select one, a sales order. Remember, we saw the a sales order, didn't we? Across here, where was it? There, a sales order, right? So select one of these from the entity set, right? And yes, so Pierre is saying, and yes, Baz is supposed to get a personal edition someday. This was discussed during TechEd 19 when Baz was introduced. Yeah, I mean, I remember running a personal edition, local edition of Web IDE as well. That was pretty cool. So, are we all okay, by the way? Is this the sort of direction we want to go? So yeah, what do we want to do? We want to connect to this thing, S4 sales orders, and read a single sales order 1, right? Okay, that'll do for now. Where sales orders, make it even simpler, right? Oh, just have a constant. No, constant's fine. Constant's fine. So results. Do we want to show the result? I suppose we do. What are we doing here? We are. Yeah, okay, let's show the result here, right? So we'll say here constant and we'll say then here console.log json.stringify results. Let's just do that, right? There we go. I lost that info in TechEd. Ah, yes. There's too much info in TechEd all the time. It's like, wow, yes, amazing. So let's run that, okay? And we're gonna hit some issues first of all, but let's just run it, okay? CDS watch. Now, what is it telling us? What is it telling us, right? Successfully deployed to SQLite in memory. All fine. error, didn't find a configuration for CDS requires S for sales orders. So that is, I'm guessing, coming from here, right? Const S for sales orders equals await CDS connect to S for sales orders. Now, CDS requires S for sales orders. Let's put that there, right? CDS requires, it's not S for sales orders, is it? It's API sales order serve. So let's run that. Oh, there we go. Perfect, perfect, perfect. That's working now. So we're now sort of connecting, right? What's this reference error? Message is not defined. Where's message? Ah, yes. Okay. Message is here, right? We don't have, this was in the context of here, wasn't it? Message, go to definition, is here. That's the thing that's passed on the event. We're not inside an event here. We're not inside something that's happening, you know, and being handled by the CAP infrastructure. So, you know, the messaging.on will call, you know, this definition will cause this function to be executed when an incoming message comes in of topic incoming, which is sales order created, and it will give it the context of that, right? The messaging context. However, we haven't got that. So actually what we can do is just keep it even simpler and just delete that, right? So we don't need it to put it in a transaction for now. Look, also don't forget that this code here, right? All I've done is I've said, well, when it starts up, do this, not when it starts up and then when an event X happens, do this. It's just when it starts up, just do this, because why not, right? Oh, right, here we go. What's this? Sales order serve has no handler for. Now, that's interesting. We got a little bit. Have we got a little bit further? I think we have. What's it saying? It's saying sales or service API sales order serve has no handler for read API sales order serve .a sales order. Now, hey, Seamus, Gary Derania, good morning and welcome. Welcome. So, if you look at the documentation, sorry, it's somewhere, it will basically say it will mock this, and you are able to provide handlers that override mock for your mocked service, right? But we don't want to do that. What we want instead is to tell CAP to say, this is not something that should be mocked locally. This is something over there in a remote service, right? So this is where we start to think about our default m.json from last week and all that stuff. But what we need to do is something similar to what we see over here, right? Credentials. We need to enhance this CDS requires definition for our API endpoint by giving it credentials. And there are different types of credentials you can give it, but we need to give it we want to give it a credential that points it to a destination, which was described, right? Remember, the destination was one of the things we want to set up, the S4 sales order, the destinations that's required by S4 sales order. So let's do that now before we do anything else, right? Because we haven't got any destinations yet, have we? Are you all still following, by the way? Is it going a bit crazy, or what's happening? No destinations, right? So we've got no destinations because we deliberately skipped over that last week because we didn't need destinations for brain level 1. We're on brain level 2 now. So the destination description basically says we want to create a destination for S4 sales orders. The name should be API Hub mock sales orders. Recognize that name, anybody? Yes, that is, where is it? There, that's the thing that's specified in the destination as the value for the destination property in the credentials. So let's do that first, right? Where are we? Let's go back here again. In here, new destination. I'm going to call it that. Now, it's of type HTTP, of course. But what is the URL? The URL should be the Kima runtime endpoint, or I suppose we could use the Cloud Foundry runtime endpoint of our sandbox mock service that's pointing to the API hub that's mocking that for us, right? So, you know, for the sandbox component URL, it's going to look like this. Now, we looked at this, didn't we? In our Kima, there it is there. That's the one we want, right? We just want the base thing, right? Because basically that is the base. Because of the welcome file in the app router, it will automatically redirect to SAP OPU OData SAP API Sales Order Serve, right? However, what we want for our destination is the base. and we'll just save that. Check connection. Although I never really do check connection normally, but that's quite nice. 302 found. That's the result. The 302, temporary redirect, is the result of that welcome file, isn't it? Right. Anyway, let's get rid of that. It's a bit bigger. Are we all still following, by the way? So we've got the destination. Okay. And we've also, of course, as you know, we've got our destination light instance and our XSUA application instance, which combined allow an application, a thing, a consumer, to read that destination information, right? And that's what's, I think, going to happen next. So what we want to put in here now then is, in here, model credentials. Is that in the thing? No, API. No, what's it called? What's happened to my brain? What's it called? API, there we go. API mock sales orders. And the path is going to be SAP, OPU, OData, SAP. How many times have I typed that in my life, right? API, sales, order. Come on, DJ. Order. Told you I was tired. Serve. Oh, hold on. That's not right, is it? Credentials. That's not right. Yes, I'm not multitask, so listening only. Okay, that's cool. Thanks, Johan. Where is it? What's going on? What's going on? Ah, credentials, destination, path. Ah, of course, yes. Okay, so credentials. It's in an object, isn't it? Destination. And path is there, and then that's the end of that. There we go. Right. Okay. We've got a different error now. We've got a different error. But are we still together on what's happening here? We're slowly building up the requirement. We've imported the definition of this remote API. CAP CDS knows about it. It's converted it into season. We're now asking, we're connected to it, or we're trying to connect to it, right? We're trying to connect to it. And in fact, oh, look, yeah, there we go. How cool is that? We've got the definition of where it is, right? But look, request method get URL, SAP, OPU, OData, SAP, API sales order serve. That suddenly appeared. So that's obviously coming from here. But look at this as well. It's actually trying to read this entity set, a_sales order, and also trying to consume specifically the sales order that we've specified, because it's doing a filter where the property sales order is equal space, open single quotes, 1, close single quotes, and just give me 1, right? So what's going on here? So this is the CAP infrastructure doing everything for us. All we've done, right, is define this thing and define this sort of SQL-like, domain-specific language. This is what we talked about in the keynote, right? It's not working yet, right? But we're just getting there, doing the minimum. So, what's going on? So we know we're here, right? We can tell from this that we're here. However, what's happening? Error. During request to remote service, failed to build HTTP request for destination. Failed to load destination. Now, failed to load destination. Why is that? Does anybody figure out why that is? We've got the destination defined, which is, where is it? Here. API hub mock sales orders. It's pointing to the right thing. What we've not got is any way for this locally on my machine running CAP service to read that destination. How can it? Because we've got the destination service instance, destination light, this thing, where is it? Well, in fact, let's do it here, right? CFT services. There's our destination light service. And it's there, ready to be used, but how can we use it? Well, we can't use it unless we tell the locally running CAP service how to connect and consume and use that destination light and XSUA application, those service instances. And this is where that default env comes in, right? So, in fact, let's put the opacity back to black. There we go. What we need to do then is generate a default env.json file. And we did that, didn't we, already? We did that. We did that in here, didn't we? What was the thing? There, we ran that script, default env gen, and we used this sort of, what's the word? Surrogate app. We created this app and we bound the destination light instance and the XSUA application instance to it, and we got the credentials, right? So in fact, somewhere in here, right? In fact, in cap brain, let's have a look here actually. In cap brain, default m.json. I'm not going to click on it because that's obviously got all the juicy details in. There it is, default env.json. So why don't we try that? Let's download, where is it? Let's download it from our dev space. Stick it in there. Okay. Let's go back to here. I want to keep this CDS watch running to see if it. Oh, no, no point in trying that. So what we'll do now is we'll bring in, move desktop destination, no, default m.json into here. So now there it is, right? And run it again, CDS watch. Is that all we need? Let's just try. Oh, okay. Well, we don't get that error anymore. That's cool. We get a different error, but results is not defined. What's that? Is that because there we go. Results. Idiot DJ. There we go. Save that. Now, are we ready? Do we need? Yes. Interesting about my, well, not interesting. Maybe not interesting to you, but interesting to me. I've changed my layout slightly so that my Pixelbook, which is normally here where I read the chat and use the YouTube Studio to control the stream and everything, I've now moved to straight in front of me, down here, where my keyboard is. And it's nice and neat down there in sort of my line of sight if I look down, but I keep forgetting to look down and see the chat. So apologies, I missed that somewhere. Yes, you're absolutely right. The default env, that is what we needed, as we've seen, right, to get this stuff. So let's just save that and see what happens. It worked. It worked. Now, what's going on? That is a lot of stuff, right? What is that? What is that? That's a successful consumption of the OData API on the API hub, the SAP API Business Hub. That's been that mocked API is fronted for us by our sandbox component, which we did a few weeks ago, which injects the API, our little key in the API key in each time to validate, to authenticate those calls to the mock service, right? Remember? That reverse proxy that injects the API key, that's running in the Keynote runtime. That's what we, had before. Where is it? There it is, right there. In fact, where's the thing? Path. What was that? Can we see it anywhere? I want to see if I can see that error URL. Oh, well, never mind. And basically, it was going to be something like this, wasn't it? If we go to here, it's going to be like a sales order dollar filter equals sales order order equals 1, wasn't it? That's what we did. That is what has been executed. Okay. Now, there's a ton of information here, right? As you can see, all these different properties. So let's say sold to party is 17101. Is that what we've got here? Yeah, sold to party 17101. So that's exactly what's happened. And I think that's pretty cool. So with like one line, we've got some declarative connectivity here. We're running this locally. We've imported the EDMX file that basically told CAP all about this remote API. So CAP could do all the doings for us. We've told it how to get there. It's this destination. And CAP also, you know, with the help of the Cloud SDK, right, which is what's being used internally here, has gone and made that connection. Got the destination information by using the destination instance and using the XSU8 instance as well, right? And then constructed the call. Now, I think it's also worth pausing here to think about what the heck is going on, because we've just run this call, right, which is exactly the same call. Well, I think there's also a $top equals 1, right? Ampersand $top equals 1, which is, in this case, in our case, because we know that sales order is unique, it's a little necessary, but, you know, anyway. In our case, by the way, what type of OData operation is that we've just done? Is it a read or is it a query? We've only got one entity in the results. Is it a read or is it a query? So we've got all this information. I was going to say something then. What do we want to do? What do we want to do? Oh, yes. What we want to do is maybe now bring in this thing here. Because, oh, that's right, yes. So it's made an OData, it's performed an OData operation. It's either a read or a query, right? You're going to tell me which one it is in the chat. But have we specified some sort of OData operation details here? Have we specified $filter equals this X, Y, Z? Have we specified $top? Have we specified anything? No. What we've specified is this bit of sort of, you know, SQL-like thing. In fact, let's add in, yeah, let's do this. I like this. I like the .where thing. Let's put that there as well. Okay. Sales order equals sales order. There, right? That's nice. I don't know what the comma was doing there. But also we'll say .columns, and then we can specify sales order properties, which is up there, right? Let's see what happens if we do that. There we go. All we get is exactly what we're asking for. Samuele, exactly. It's a query because, well, we can tell it's a query by looking at the results. Actually, where's the results? Where is it? By looking at the results, because the root element, XML-wise, is feed, not entry. Okay. So we're asking for this entity set, but we're filtering down the results. If we were to say, and this is the equivalent, right? I think it's like that, right? Yeah. If we were to say that the root element of the result is an entry, and that sort of gives us a clue that it's a read operation, not a query operation. Anyway, I digress. Hey, Tanmoy, welcome, Tanmoy. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. You've just come in time for us to celebrate, because we have successfully managed to do from scratch the simplest thing that could possibly work, connecting to and consuming a remote API in CAP. And that's what's happening. And we've done it sort of independent of the brain, so we understand what's going on, right? So I think it's 10 to 9 already. Where did the time go? Where did the time go? Is there anything else we can play with now? I think this might be a good place to stop. Because what we want to do is move back into the brain again and continue that journey. But, oh, yes. the wonderful thing about destinations is that sort of the abstract things. Why don't we try here, instead of doing, what was the thing here? CF apps. You win a sticker. You win your sticker. Yes. I win my sticker. There we go. So in fact, CFT apps. There we go. We'll have .com. There's from I used before. There is the Cloud Foundry version of our sandbox that's also pointing to the API Hub mock service. So theoretically, we could rip out the Kima URL in our destinations and stick in this one instead, and it would still work, right? Let's paste that in, save. Oh, why is it saying error? Oh, HTTPS. Check connection. Oh, no, what? What's that mean? HTTP, did I not get that right? Edit. Did I not? Oh, .com. .com. Save. Right. Check connection. 302 found. So now, if we do this again, where is it? There. Let's save that so it'll just trigger that CDS watch to do it again. It works, right? But how do we know it works? Well, I suppose what we could do, CF log proxy app, right? Okay, so are we ready? Last thing to do. What is going on there? I have no idea what that failed to retrieve logs from log caches. Anyway, we don't care about that. Now, if we save that again, just to trigger the CDS watch, save. Let's see what happens. Anything? There we go. We can see the OData operation that came in to the sandbox that's running in our Cloud Foundry runtime, for example. There it is. That is the line that comes in on the HTTP request. Get SAP OPU OData SAP API sales order serve a sales order select. Oh yes, there we go. There's an interesting thing. So the columns here. Let's do that one more time, but then say just select. We're going to select. Just select. I don't know. Select sold to. Sold. I hate double quotes. Sold to party and also total net amount. Let's save that, right? And have a look. Where is it? There we go. API sales order serve, a sales order, select equals sold to party and total net amount. That's been directly influenced by this beautiful bit of language here. Filter equals sales order equals 1. And top equals 1. That's it. It's using Axios. Yes, it is interesting, isn't it? Yes, it's using Axios. You know what? I think that's a good place to stop. Also, I'm tired, so I can't think anywhere beyond this. Is that a good place to stop? Shall we? Any questions before we finish? I'm looking forward to a bit of a lie down now, actually. But yeah, was that useful? Let me know if it was useful. I can eat the rest of my cookie. What do we want to cover next week? What we'll cover next week is, I don't think we should do any more GitHub actions yet, but what we should cover next week is bringing all that knowledge that we've now gained together back in, right? And continue to dig through. Was it useful to dig through the code? Let's do some more code digging, or do you just want to run it and just, see things working? Maybe what we should do is dig a little bit more into the messaging.on. We understand what's going on here now. we understand what's going on here. The only difference was that we're wrapping this call in a transaction in the context of the incoming in the message, right? And then what happens is that we do that little bit of business logic. So we'll have a look at that business logic, because we're using a very, very similar language, not to interact with a remote API, but to interact with our persistence layer. What? It's the same thing. So we'll do that next week, I think. Go multi-cloud, go multi-cloud. Yes, exactly, Johan. Thank you, Samuela. That was useful. Code digging is the best way to learn. We'll do some code digging next week. So thank you all for joining. That's more or less it. Have a happy Friday, happy weekend. Oh, by the way, if you've not already seen it, that's right, I knew I wanted to show you something. If you've not already seen it, we have a new series, SAP Samples Spotlight. So check this out. What we're doing is we've decided to sort of go through some of the really cool repos on the SAP Samples org on GitHub. SAP Samples org is sort of owned and managed by the wonderful Brian Bernard. We chose as the first one the Ariba Extensibility Samples repo, created by the inimitable Antonio Maradiaga, who's an awesome person. And that is now, we're doing these, generally about 10 minutes long, probably one every month or something. So check that out. I'll put that in the chat there. And that's it. So have a great weekend and see you next week. Bye.